if you have never seen this trailer before, you're in for a treat. But what we're talking about today is, of course, Hello Games, the creators of No Man's Sky. This is their next big release, right? We don't know the date yet, but this did steal the Game Awards sort of showcase. It sort of stole all the attention, and it was definitely the best trailer of that night. Now, I'll have it be playing in the background as I start talking here. So, boop, and we are going to sort of just talk about some of the best features. We don't have a lot of information to work with, and there's nothing super groundbreaking. I'll be fully transparent with you, that you probably haven't seen if you've done any sort of like independent research into it. Sean Murray is the sort of leader of Hello Games, and he's the bridge to the social media interaction. He is tweeting quite a bit, about different things. Not so much about this game, more about No Man's Sky, but we will definitely get some information very soon. And I wanted to sort of tell you that right now is probably the best time to start getting excited. We could potentially see this game like maybe come out during the holidays, something like that, with the promise that they're going to continue updating it. Most likely, and I will be completely honest, it will be probably somewhat early on in the next year. Now, I don't want you to immediately click away. There's tons to break down. Now, we already saw some amazing shots. It's already sort of showcasing and telling us that, hey, this is going to be a multiplayer focused game, right? We saw a couple, even right now, underwater here, a couple shots with multiple players on screen. Now, the other thing, and a lot of people are skeptical, or the skeptics that are out there, their main ammunition is that there were some features that Hello Games did not really deliver on when it comes to No Man's Sky. Most notably, I would say the multiplayer interaction. Multiplayer's never been super strong, but of course there is the ability to have up to 32 players in one instance, and that is in a procedurally generated world with multiple vehicles. You can enter other people's freighters, things like that. So I think they did a pretty good job, all things considered, with the small team that they had, and it was sort of their first venture. Wow, and if you haven't seen this before, you will notice the very beautiful color palette that they like to use. Very vibrant, very fun. And here we have one of the best shots of the trailer. We have some houses being built. It's going to be a base building game, okay? Very much just like No Man's Sky has some of the best base building of all games, really. And honestly, guys, if it works even half the way that it's sort of showcased here, I'm gonna actually pause it. You will notice here, if you can see my mouse, there is a little what appears to be like a beaver or something building a chimney. And as he sort of does that, the bricks just sort of fly up there, right? If it sort of has that animation on day one, great. And if it just has the fluidity and the speed, then we're in for a treat, guys. I mean, we have a homie chopping down some trees. You can see one of the guys is actually carrying the log back. Now, this might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think that No Man's Sky really does represent that they learned a lot. I'm sure you're familiar that their comeback story was one of the best, if not the best, in all of the gaming industry. I mean, there were so many things kind of wrong, quote unquote, with the game as it launched, and they have been like there are 30 updates deep now. They've released tons of these things called expeditions, which are like short stories that have just tons of gameplay features embedded into it. Now, we did just see some quick shots as well, so hopefully you can go back and pause if you really wanted to see. It should be at a speed where it won't be too hard for you to pause. Um, and I've already seen the trailer 100 times, so anyway. But here we have dragons. So instead of ships, right, we're on to dragons. Very fun. Now, some things I want to say about that. I don't want dragons to invalidate, right, the other vehicles that we see, and you will see just down below here we have some sailboats. Oh, of course, the wings. We do have a sailboat right here. There is a small house over here to the left. Now, I would imagine that resource management and resource gathering is a huge part of the game, as the trailer would lead you to believe. Now, if dragons invalidate these other vehicles, well, then there's sort of some conflict there. There's already some friction, assuming that you can carry all of your resources on the back of a dragon. Now, I would imagine when you're carrying a ton of stone and all that, maybe maybe it weighs down your dragon to the point where it cannot fly that efficiently, things like that. Or maybe dragons require food as a source of fuel. They're big boys; they don't want to expend all that energy for no reason. So there's definitely some things that we have left unanswered. Now that would be one of them. And being such a multiplayer focused game, I imagine that everyone wants to hop on their dragons together and start going places. So these smaller vehicles and things will probably be more of a intermediate mechanism, right? Perhaps you want to live out secluded for a certain reason, maybe a PvP reason. No, but maybe that isolation is important, and maybe you can't always have access to your dragon because you leave your dragon in another location, things like that, to perhaps guard something, or I don't know, maybe you're letting your friend use it. Maybe there will just be these small snippets of time where you don't actually have the ability to use your dragon. Now, of course, I'm throwing things at the wall, seeing what sticks, but here we have a very interesting shot with this pillar. Now, the pillar looks sort of just plopped there in a way that I don't necessarily love, so I hope that it's a little bit more embedded into the landscape in a way that's a little bit more organic. And we have this floating platform. Now, this is really exciting to me because, right, we had teleportation in No Man's Sky, and I imagine there needs to be some sort of a waypoint, fast travel teleportation thing. Now, oh, by the way, if you don't know, this is one world this time, guys. So No Man's Sky was a procedurally generated universe. This is going to be one world procedurally generated that's so large that all the players are going to be sort of competing for the limited landscape, which is totally different. That's gonna, me as a PvP player in many games, that would be great. If that turns you off, I am that's definitely not going to be forced upon you. That would be absolutely insane if Hello Games forced you to be actively in a player versus player sort of thing. However, again, there is that finite space variable, which remains to sort of be addressed very clearly. I mean, of course, that's very intentional. We know like very minimal about the game, but I do want to highlight here too. We do have a symbol that is from No Man's Sky. So quite simply, the mark on his face is the same mark on the knowledge stones and many other ancient artifacts within the game. So here's the really cool part of the video. At least my favorite part. I would love to see No Man's Sky somehow. This would be sort of a big technological demand for them. But right, if your account or your character or whatever from No Man's Sky somehow influences or interacts with your character or your file in this new game, heck, dude, oh my goodness, right? Now, of course, you're not going to be able to bring your spaceships into this game. I think that would compete pretty heavily with the dragons. Uh, that's not going to happen. But what could happen is your potential achievements and maybe milestones, right, will unlock certain small, maybe just aesthetic features in this game, or sort of just influence the story narrative in a way that is less than nothing, right? Which is really exciting, right? I would imagine that Hello Games definitely considered this along the way. They put so much effort into No Man's Sky. By the way, if you're thinking about playing this game and you haven't played No Man's Sky, go play No Man's Sky. I mean, dude, like it's so amazing. It's so amazing. There are a handful of my friends that don't like the game. They're more of a let's say small attention span kind of person. Including real close friends. I have a lot of respect for. And not to put my brother on blast, but he wasn't into the crafting aspect and the going around and slowly gathering resources and taking pictures of animals and sort of slowly approaching that. Um, but it is so fun when you really get attached to your character, you sort of get immersed in that role, and there are so many systems in the game. You can sort of avoid the ones you don't want. You can just be like an explorer, you could just be a collector, you can, just ship hunting, just multi-tool hunting. The combat is actually engaging when you grab a friend and you go to a aggressive sentinel system, or planet rather, and you attack one of the sentinel pillars and maybe you don't have a fully upgraded multi-tool yet. I mean, dude, it actually can be pretty hard. And that's just sort of a small part of it. There's the derelict freighters that are procedurally generated, so every single one you go to is randomly created, as you go to it, just like the planets, just like the flora and fauna. So there's just sort of that novelty to the game that I'm obsessed with. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, and I think a lot of people do take that for granted. Granted, not granite. Anyway, let's keep the trailer going. So here we do have our first shot of fire, by the way. And again, a group of four. I think a group of four is going to be a main focus for the game. Now, another thing too, dungeons. Are we gonna get like some sort of dungeons, maybe instance based, gotta work together to get through it type of content? That would be cool. Now you can see here a dragon flying above them as well. Okay, I would imagine we have limited use with the dragons, right? Because here you are on the wildebeest. Now the dragon's going a lot faster than the wildebeest, right? We can see that. So why wouldn't you use your dragons? Well, I would imagine Hello Games thought this through. They're not stupid, right? You can say what you want about the launch of No Man's Sky, but they put a lot of work into the game afterwards, and it would be very foolish to believe that they didn't learn anything from that whole experience. Okay, they put a lot of money into the advertising for this game too. This is a great shot. Okay, here we have some red ball, some red ball, Bloomborough. If you're one of my magic people, type of thing. We do have a cool goblin guy off to the left there too. Don't forget that. Now, this is more diversity in the character models and NPCs than we saw in No Man's Sky altogether, to be honest. Which is exciting. I think they realized that, hey, just need a little bit more flair, a little bit more aesthetic diversity, and this is going to be a great approach, in my opinion. The petals on the ground are beautiful. The rabbits, there's not a huge diversity in the rabbits, but I would imagine, at least with your character, you can change all your clothes, you can change all your weapons. You will be able to distinguish yourself in a profound way, which is really important for the RPG aspect of this survival sandbox. Okay, so let's keep going. What we really need to see is, you know, what kind of story, right? What kind of story are we going to have on this limited space, procedurally generated world with a bunch of other players? Now, this is a freaking awesome shot here. Now, I want to talk about the fidelity of the trees. Well, hang on. So, first of all of these trees are going to be procedurally generated. Now, obviously, that we already established. But, the vision and the depth, the field of view, how far you can see, really, really good. I mean, you can really sort of make out the markings of the maze structure there. Now, I would hope something like that is either a very important story point or it's a dungeon that you can go into and explore with your friends. And ideally, you would be able to get items and things that also are procedurally generated and then unique to you. Now, one side point I'll make, if they do a shiny Pokemon type of thing in this game, huge for the game. And what I mean by that is I always thought that was such a smart move from the Pokemon company, right? Like every time you encounter a Pokemon, there's at least the original odds, there's a 1 in 5,000 chance or 8,000 chance, whatever it was, that you could see a shiny Pokemon. Now it's a lot less, and they're not as novel. But I mean, gosh, just having that small chance made some of those mundane encounters, right? You're just trying to go back and forth. You're like, ah, God, another Pokemon. Well, at least there's that chance. So there's always that little part inside of you that gets excited. It'd be really cool if some of the objects and artifacts that you collect throughout this game have a chance to be shiny or maybe, blessed by the ancients or whatever they decide to go with, right? That's really cool. Also, this company more than any understands the ability of the novelty and this item is only there's only one of these items out there kind of thing. That's a cool aspect, guys. Not to be overlooked. I think it's going to be a huge driving force for the longevity of the game for collectors, and yeah, it made exploring in No Man's Sky very, very fun. Now here we have almost another sort of Atlas reference. Atlas reference. Holy. to No Man's Sky in a way. You sort of have the red. The symbol is somewhat similar. This could be maybe like the pre No Man's Sky version of it, and then eventually it became more of a space conduit type of structure. It's cool. This suggests terraforming. It suggests that the landscape has the ability to change at any point as well, which could be a future solution for the limited space that we're working with. Whether it be an instant based type of thing or just resetting the world every now and again. Now, resetting the world would not be ideal. It's not a huge, I'm not a huge fan of that. I like what I build to be permanent. Now, this is a beautiful logo. Quite literally, we have a hand reaching out, made from the earth, trying to kind of grab this atlas. This would suggest that this is the driving sort of a godly deity type of power of the game that probably dictates a lot on what we're going to do. So I hope you're excited for the game. I know I am. We don't have so much information. There are some interesting Twitter tweets, but those were already covered in some of my last videos. And it was sort of cool to see how much No Man's Sky influenced Starfield. That's Bethesda, one of the most successful gaming studios of all time, just blatantly copying like one to one pretty much every aspect of No Man's Sky. The only thing I think that Starfield had really over No Man's Sky was, I mean, I don't want to say diversity in their NPCs because that'd be a little bit of a stretch, but really the shipbuilding, which actually No Man's Sky adopted after. So, to Bethesda's credit, No Man's Sky sort of finally copied them because they're like, ah, shoot, they have something up on us. So, if you're a Starfield fan and you're thinking about checking this game out or No Man's Sky, definitely do it. Just get that perspective for yourself. I think you deserve it. And these are great. Well, No Man's Sky is a great game. This was surely going to be a great game. I'm so excited for it, you guys. You have no idea. I cannot wait, especially if they do even half the things I'm expecting. Now, be cool. There's a lot of things to talk about. Like, is there going to be a skill tree that you have to sort of specialize your character, and maybe these are permanent decisions? Is going to be like OSRS, where we're doing one action over, or any sort of RuneScape type thing, where we're doing an action over and over again to raise our skill, just number go up, dopamine type of thing. Which, to be honest, a lot of people are a fan of, right? A lot of MMO players and stuff out there are a fan of that. I think there needs to be a middle ground, right? I think there needs to be some sort of number go up system. A little bit more than No Man's Sky would probably be preferable for my liking, because it sort of just gives you something to latch onto. Like, say you spend like 7 hours one day just mining, whatever, and you see your little mining level go up, or you just have a small increase of efficiency, or whether it be a quick thing or something that takes a ridiculous amount of time, like a level 99 RuneScape type of vibe. Gosh, people, I really love you for being here. I could talk about this game forever. If you really are excited to talk about this game just in a general sense, without watching the trailer, just here's my face, blah, 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 let me know in the comments. If I see like a handful of comments, that'd be really awesome. And yeah, I'll be back to making more of a balanced type of, I'll do Magic videos and I'll also do No Man's Sky videos. I've been wanting to play more No Man's Sky recently. I did a couple of live streams. And I will showcase my actual good files soon. I think that's going to be like my next No Man's Sky video. So if you're interested in that, definitely check that out. I have like some the what is it, the alien ship, the living ship rather. I have like the full 30 frigates, not of the aliens. I wish I eventually kind of gave up on that. I have like a really cool freighter base. I have a lot of collectibles. I found some the alien multi tools, all of that. You know what I mean? It's funny. I found 3 alien multi tools in like one weekend, one time, like totally organically on my second best file, which I'll definitely showcase that one too. A bunch of S-class ships. I haven't found a squid ship yet. That would be like astronomically cool to naturally find one of those. I don't want to look up the glyphs and cheat that way. Um, and by the way, if you're still here and you say you're interested in No Man's Sky and this type of game, there's a creative mode. Like if you want to skip all the grinding part of it, that's an option. And if you're on the opposite end of the spectrum and you love the grind, you can increase the difficulty and decrease your carrying capacity, so you have to be much more resourceful with those things. A lot of people like that kind of thing. Hardcore Iron Man and RuneScape. I keep bringing up RuneScape. You know what I mean? There's a lot that you can do with the game, that I think a lot of people may have missed because of that maybe like less than ideal launch. But give it another shot. If you haven't played No Man's Sky for a while, give it another shot. Make a new character, just send it. If you get bored at some point, switch that file. Don't lock your settings if you're on the fence. Switch that file to creative mode. You can skip all of that, get all the base parts right away. It just depends on what you like. At the end of the day, we're all sitting here, sort of, you know, just finding value in things that are fun to find value in. Right? As a person, we have limited time, so find the way that that you're smiling the most, right? Maximize your happiness should always be your main goal, people. So with that, I will go like this one more time because I got a green screen, and I'll hit you up. I'll see you in the next video, people, and have a great day. And I love you. And watch my old standard magic decks because they're awesome. And I got matched with number 5 in the world one time, and mythic ranked like 11 times in a row. And I'm pretty good at the game, man. And all right, peace.